When you picture a nurse's toolkit, you probably think of a stethoscope, scrubs, maybe a syringe, right? But what if I told you one of their most powerful instruments was a story? Today, we're going to dive into how digital storytelling is becoming this absolutely essential tool for training the next generation of nurses. And it really all boils down to one big question. So let's just start right there. In this world of amazing high-tech medicine and just tons of data, what is it that really makes a nurse great today? Is it just about being a technical whiz, mastering all the complex machines and procedures?
Well, it turns out the answer, and a whole bunch of research backs this up, is that it's a mix of both. Of course, you need the technical skills, that's a given. But what takes a good nurse and makes them a truly great one is their ability to connect, to show compassion, and to see the human being in that hospital bed. And that, right there, is where storytelling comes into play.
Now, I want to be clear, this isn't just some fluffy, feel-good idea. The whole concept of using digital stories in nursing is built on a really solid foundation of academic research. It's all supported by the work of 3 key researchers, whose ideas really form the bedrock of this whole thing.
And that's the key thing to remember. This is an evidence-based practice. It's not just a passing trend. It's a real methodology grounded in actual studies that show us why it works so well to train nurses who are not only competent, but also deeply compassionate.
So let's meet the people behind these big ideas. First, you've got Churchill, who back in 2020 was really focused on digital literacy and creativity. Then there's Daya from 2017, who did this crucial work on voice and equity. And more recently, Kim and Lee in 2021 explored how storytelling really shapes a nurse's ability to reflect and build their professional identity. We're going to break down each of these because they're all super important.
Okay, so first up is Churchill, and his work completely redefines what we mean by digital literacy. See, it's not just about knowing how to use a tablet, no way. It's about using that tech to dig into a problem, to think deeply about an experience, and then to creatively tell the story of what you found. I mean, these are absolutely essential skills for any professional today, but especially for a nurse.
Next up, Daya's research is all about equity. And this is so critical. Healthcare just isn't a one-size-fits-all world. What Daya argues is that digital storytelling creates this protected space where different, often marginalized voices can finally be shared and truly heard. This is just vital for training nurses who can give culturally sensitive care, which at the end of the day leads to more trust and better health for every single patient.
And that brings us to Kim and Lai, who really zero in on identity. Look, nursing can be an incredibly emotional job. So by creating these stories, mixing sound, text, images, students get a chance to process really complex feelings. It helps them connect the dots between what they read in a textbook and what they actually feel standing at a patient's bedside. It's how they start to build their identity as a caregiver.
Okay, so we've got the theory down. That's the why. But how does this all translate into the real world? Let's take a look at what it actually looks like in practice, and we'll start where most nurses do, in the classroom.
This whole approach really thrives in 2 main places. First, you have the classroom. That's where students are building their foundation, right? Connecting the dots between theory and what it's like in the real world. But it absolutely doesn't stop at graduation. Then, out on the hospital floor, it becomes a tool for making those values stick, for always learning, and for building a genuine culture of compassion.
Just think about the kinds of assignments this opens up. A nursing student could make a short video reflecting on a really intense clinical simulation they just went through. Or they could create a digital story that explores healthcare from the perspective of an indigenous patient. It's all about taking these big, abstract ideas like ethics and empathy and making them real, tangible, and something you'll never forget.
And this quote, it just nails it. It really captures the heart of the whole thing. It's not just another assignment, it's a platform, a space for creative engagement where students don't just learn about compassion, they actively get to practice and express it. And that helps shape the very core of who they're going to become as nurses.
All right, so let's shift gears now. We've talked about the classroom, but what about the clinic? How does this tool actually work for nurses who are already out there, practicing on the front lines of healthcare every single day?
For professionals who are already in the field, storytelling becomes this incredible tool for getting better all the time. Imagine a nurse creating a short audio clip about a breakthrough she had with a really tough patient, then sharing that success with her team. Or a whole unit documenting a quality improvement project through a bunch of short, shareable videos. It's all about sharing what you know and building up that culture of care.
And the process itself is just so powerful because it's so simple. You document a real-life situation, you reflect on it,
You share that story with your team, and boom, that shared experience leads directly to improvement. It turns one person's lesson into wisdom for the whole team, and that is absolutely essential for patient safety.
So what's the big picture here? What are the massive implications of all this? When we really start weaving storytelling into the fabric of nursing, what kind of healthcare system are we actually building for the future?
Okay, but let's be real for a minute. This isn't all easy. It's got its challenges, for sure. Nurses are under incredible pressure. They have no time, and let's be honest, not everyone is instantly comfortable using technology to be creative or to reflect on their feelings. Those are real hurdles you have to get over.
And the solution isn't just throwing more software at the problem. It's more humanity. For any of this to work, you have to have an environment that's built on trust, where being vulnerable is seen as a strength, not a weakness. And that takes leadership. Leaders who create a safe space for their staff and students to be authentic, to reflect, and to share.
But when you create that environment, the payoff is huge. You don't just get nurses who know how to use the latest tech. You get nurses who are digitally fluent and socially conscious. You get professionals who can understand both the data on the screen and the human being standing right in front of them.
So when you boil it all down, what we're really talking about is a new, much richer way of thinking about digital literacy in nursing. It's not just about being good with computers. It's this whole package that includes ethical awareness, creativity, inclusivity, and most importantly of all, the ability to make a real human connection.
And that kind of leaves us with one final thought to chew on. As technology gets more and more tangled up in every part of our health, it's really a question for all of us to think about. What role are our own stories going to play in making sure that the future of healthcare stays, at its very heart, profoundly human?